All right, everyone. Looks like it's just about that time. I very quickly want to go over just a few housekeeping items. As you can see on the slide, we have your video disabled and you are muted. The chat is live, so please submit any questions you have through the chat. And we have saved some time at the end to hopefully get to all of those questions. And lastly, this webinar is being recorded and it will be shared with everyone who registered for this webinar. So let's go ahead and to all my panelists, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen and unmuting yourself. There we go. Hi, everyone.
Hi, good morning.
Let me see if I can get Kurt in here too. Really quick to our audience members, I do recommend changing the view of your screen so that you can see all four of us in a little quadrant right here. So that's in the upper right-hand corner if you select view, and you can then choose grid view. So then we can all see each other. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here, my panelists. I really appreciate it. So today we are joined, well, I'm Lindsay Rogers, Mortarr's community manager, and I'm also a customer success manager. And today I'm joined by Jennifer Wild, Director of Digital Marketing and Creative Services with Feeney. We also have Rob Connolly, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at ActivWall. And then we also have Kurt James, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Claridge Products. So again, welcome everyone.
Good to be here.
Great to be here.
No, this will be a great one. So really quickly, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. You know, we know that building trends change from year to year, but this last year with COVID-19, it's really brought flexible design to the forefront. So in an effort to, you know, stay on top of emerging trends, Mortarr wanted to host a consumer Q&A discussion with our fellow industry experts, where we have the opportunity to explore just how we think flexible design will continue to be a standard in commercial construction for years to come. So thank you, everyone. Really quick before we get started, I am going to release a poll really quick for everyone. I went ahead and launched it now. If you wouldn't mind just selecting which space you feel that you fit in your current role. This will be just great to kind of give us some feedback on who we're actually talking to today. I was able to check out all of the registrations, but of course, you know, we have our friendly email addresses and names, but it would be great to know kind of where everybody fits here. So please, you know, take a few minutes. I can actually watch it live right now. So it looks like we have just about 65% have voted. So let's get those votes in. So we'll go ahead and do this. Just give it another few seconds here, see if we can get this filled out. I'll be able to share it with the panelists as well. So this will be coming to you. So, well, thank you, everyone. For this Q&A session, we have quite a few questions that we'll be getting to for each of the panelists. And then, like I said, at the end, we hope to answer some of your questions, but of course, we'll also provide you with the names and email addresses of our fellow panelists so that you can reach out to anyone at any time. And you can also contact me as well, and we can get those questions answered for you. So I'm going to go ahead here and end this poll really quick. Just a quick second. All right. I went ahead and shared the results. Is everybody able to see them? Oh, great. I'm happy to hear. All right. Let us go ahead and get started. So Rob, I'm going to go ahead and start with you, putting you in the hot seat. So Rob, flexible space has been a trend for some time now, especially in the hospitality industry. How has COVID-19 pandemic changed that for you?
It's a great question. And I think it would help to just say to start that ActivWall exists to provide quality and unique moving wall, window, and door products that help our customers open up their space. And what makes us unique as a company is creative engineering, collaboration, and unparalleled customer experience. So from the very beginning, we've been sort of pivoting, if you will, to hit on our theme. Not to mention the fact that we actually have a product called a pivot door.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, I know they have a product like that.
But at the same time, the ability to listen to our customers' needs and figure out what actually enhances their business and helps them to be more successful at what they do is what makes us stand out as a building materials manufacturer. So we were kind of already in the business of listening to the market, listening to our customers, and figuring out how to adapt our engineering and our designs to suit their needs. So flexible space already was on trend. It took the COVID-19 pandemic took it from sort of a design trend, though, to a safety and business necessity.
Mm-hmm.
So many in the hospitality industry have had the hardest year on record.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, as we're coming back, the ability to provide a safe experience for patrons is really critical. So that's going to be something that design professionals and construction professionals are providing their customer, who is the hospitality business, and that experience of safety, the mitigation of the concerns of being cramped in spaces with strangers, the ability to change the spaces themselves around to suit the even hour by hour needs of the space to meet their patrons' presence. All of that has changed everything. So, you see guidance from the CDC and local authorities talking about outdoor dining. And across the country, the ability to offer outdoor dining has kept much of the hospitality industry alive over the last year, the ability to combine indoor and outdoor spaces. But as we move forward and we go into winter times and we go into a more elongated sense where even if the pandemic subsides somewhat, the sense of the general public that they'd like to have a more safe, private space when they're in a hospitality setting is not going to go away.
Yeah.
So the ability of design and construction professionals to offer solutions for the hospitality industry is critical. And we intend to be a tool in their toolbox.
Great. Well, thank you for that. So I want to know too, how is your company able to respond to the unique functional and aesthetic designs that are asked of by your end users, that are asking you, your end users are asking you?
That's a great question. So our culture and business model has always been to take our flexible products and collaborate with design and construction professionals to provide unique solutions. It's really who we are. It's the foundation of our entrance into the marketplace. We've been around since 2011, but we really entered the marketplace more earnestly in 2018. We were able to have conversations with strategic architectural and design partners who were looking for unique solutions that the more well-known industry players really could not provide. Mm-hmm. And so the inherent design flexibility in the core components of our products and our sort of willingness and culture of collaborative design just positions us in a unique way to have those kinds of collaborative conversations and to still back that up with a commercial spec and service after the sale in partnership with our dealer partners across the country.
Great. Thank you. And another one for you too. What resources are available to help architects and designers make the most of what ActivWall has to offer?
Sure. So I would obviously, Lindsay, start with our Mortarr profile and just say it's a great.
I didn't pay him to say that. I didn't pay him to say that.
I would say it's a great place to go just to learn a little bit more about who we are and what we provide. I will say our profile is a little bit newer than some of the others on there. We're just kind of getting started in this journey with you guys, which we're loving, by the way. But she didn't pay me for that either. But in addition to our Mortarr account and connected to our Mortarr account is our BIM object page, which allows architects and designers and construction professionals to actually access technical data, DWGs, and very soon for us, Revit files that allow them to integrate our projects into their digital workflows. And as well as just sort of our general website and the availability of our team. So if we have an engagement through either one of our dealer partners or directly from a designer construction professional, we'll set aside some time. And I know you're planning to share my personal email address for ActivWall, Lindsay, and I'm glad to share that with anyone on the call, because we really do take a personal approach to our collaborative design ethos and culture. And so I would say our best resource to help architects and designers is ourselves, and are willing to hear about the problems that you're facing in design and to collaborate with you to see the end user fully satisfied and taken care of.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And I'm sure, all of our viewers today, they'll be excited to, receive contact information for you all. And Rob, with your great customer service, I know, with anything going on in the world, customer service will always set you apart, any company apart from the others out there. So I'm glad that you touched on that. So, all right. So Kurt, you're next. Now you're in the hot seat.
All right, bring it on.
Yes. So Kurt, you mentioned during your introduction that pivoting is something that you and Claridge team are familiar with. Can you share just some more notable pivots that Claridge has made during your time with the company?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Lindsay. First of all, thanks for having us. I think that originally we were going to do a little bit of an introduction, and when you and I first talked, when you invited me onto the webinar, that this topic of pivoting is really all about my experience that I've had here at Claridge. So I've been with Claridge, and for people that might not even know the Claridge brand, we're a 73-year-old brand. It's third generation, up until last year, family-owned, third generation business, known as an education brand primarily, with really institutional brand. We epitomized the term of what it means to be old school. It was an old school company. So I've been with Claridge for 4 years, and it has been one pivot after another. It started as a brand repositioning assignment where we wanted to take the brand and move it from kind of an older institutional school brand I mentioned into a more relevant, modern, stylish contract furniture brand.
Mm-hmm.
And that for people that are manufacturers, I noticed there's manufacturers on the line here. It takes a lot of heavy lifting to get that done. It's akin to kind of turning a battleship in a bathtub, especially for family-owned businesses. So I'm hoping that today's some insights that we can share, Jennifer, Rob, and myself, might help some businesses out there as they look to pivot themselves. So it can be done, and anybody that knows Claridge like pre-2016, 17, and then looks at Claridge today can recognize that it can be done. It takes a lot of work. So, 2017 was the reposition. 2018, what allowed us to really pivot and move into contract furniture, obviously, is our commitment to product innovation. So you can't grow as a brand, particularly as a manufacturer, unless you're constantly innovating. You're meeting the needs of the marketplace. So we invested heavily in that. We partnered with a group out of Chicago, Q Design, who really gave us our first entry into contract furniture through our mix line, mixed wall boards and mobiles. And we introduced that at NeoCon in 2018. That we officially arrived on the scenes as a contract furniture business at that point. 19 came around, again, Q Design stepped up. We developed switch, pitch, and venue lines for 19, and I believe that 2019 is when we actually met the Mortarr folks. So that might have been your coming out party. But really, what happened after 19, obviously, is we head into 2020, and this is when the big pivot happened. Nobody saw it coming. We were all set to promote all the new product lines that we had launched, and then COVID hits. So, again, here we're faced with, we made the investment in all the new products, and now what do you do? So you're in the spring of 2020, and we had to act quickly. So thankfully, we do have a new product development team, a product innovation team, and we developed these lines of COVID solutions. And I think I wrote this down. Rob said it best. It was safety and business necessities. And that's really what we were looking at. It was all hands on deck. We said, hey, look, we know we need to do all this stuff eventually and get these products launched, but we need to develop some products that are going to help meet the needs, these safety and business needs of whether it's in education markets in K through 12, higher ed, or corporate interiors. So we launched a fairly robust line of desk dividers, space dividers, whether they're mobile or stationary. And we were getting requests from all over the country in every market category: K-12, higher ed, office, healthcare, you name it. We were putting barriers into courthouses. It was totally unforeseen. So the fact that we were able to pivot, meet the needs of the marketplace, it was really kind of a proud moment for all of us that as a team, you can't get it done without great teamwork.
Mhm.
And it really helped salvage what could have been kind of a really tough year. You know, we've been on a 4 straight years of solid growth heading into 2020, and we were worried. Our response to COVID really helped save us and salvaged a great year. We really did, you know, made lemonade out of lemons. So we're definitely doubling down in the product innovation category, and we have some really exciting things on tap for this year as well.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing. So, Kurt, you mentioned Claridge doubling down on new product development. So can you give us some additional specifics on how Claridge has addressed the short and long-term needs of the markets you serve?
Yeah. So, I don't want to get into a bunch of market research, but I'll tell you, our market research played a role in this. We weren't just being reactionary. I think Rob had mentioned it too, that he was working on some stuff pre-COVID, as were we. We all see all these, the market research out there. It doesn't matter if it's a Steelcase or Knowles reporting on something, McKinsey, Gallup, our own feedback. I mean, when you're a company like Claridge, we're a manufacturer that covers really, we call it 2 sides of our business, our new construction and renovations side of our business. So we're working with architects, general contractors on that kind of building the building and renovating it. And then we're working on the contract furniture side, the furniture FF&E packages, where we're filling those spaces up with furniture after they've been built or renovated. And we get a lot of feedback from the field, right, that helps inform our decisions that we're making on product development. So in response to the market research and all that we were hearing in the marketplace, we decided, okay, we really need to get out in front of this and think more long-term. This isn't, this is going to go away. So we feel like it's not going to be maybe the way it was pre-COVID, but we know that people are going to get back to work. So we brought in some new experts in product innovation that are industry experts. We cobbled together a team from our internal team members who've been in the business for decades, and we built what we feel is really going to help be the driving force of Claridge moving forward. We've moved beyond COVID solutions, and when you look at the reporting of Steelcase, we know that of the respondents that Steelcase survey came back, 85% of them said that they want to come back to the office because they miss this human interaction and collaboration, right? It's really hard to collaborate through these Zoom calls. They're effective for a while, but there's nothing better than being in the same space with people and interacting. And so the challenge is we need to do that in a way that makes it safe. So how do we provide these safe environments and these flexible designs that allow people to come back and feel safe? And I'll throw out a number here, not just in corporate America, but in schools in California alone. So for manufacturers that are out there looking for an area of growth, California alone, they're looking at floating a bill that'll add $6 billion to the budget, in addition to what they're already spending, $6 billion to bring students and faculty, staff back to school, to get everybody back in the classroom. That's happening all over the country, okay? There's Fortune 500 spending an immense amount of money to do the same thing, figure out how do they provide that a level of confidence for their employees to come back and feel like they can collaborate and get back to the office and not worry about COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so definitely the rules are changing, and I think that we're poised and ready to address that in all markets that we serve, and I'm really excited to be a part of it, and then figure out how we're going to come up with these longer term solutions that are going to be more sustainable. This is going to be here. This is the new normal, I believe, and I think we're ready to address that new normal.
Good. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, Kurt, what trends do you see in the marketplace as it relates to flexible designs and, like you were talking about before, getting people back to work?
Yeah. So, good question. I think that twofold, right? So first, in education and corporate America, I think in Fortune 500, we're seeing a growing demand for customs. I mean, I don't know about many other manufacturers on the phone right now. Claridge has a robust line of stock products. Okay, so we've got catalog products. We've got a lot of standard products that cover everything from walls to mobile marker boards to space division, trophy cases and cabinets, all that stock stuff you see from schools to inside corporate interiors. But we're finding that it's not a one size fits all solution. As people come back, all spaces are not created equal. So it doesn't matter if you're in a school or in a boardroom, they're not created equal. So we're getting a lot of requests from the field, from architects, from designers, from furniture dealers. Can we develop something custom to maybe retrofit existing furniture systems, desking and whatnot? And having a team like we have in our product innovation that's there. I mean, we're watching concepts go from a cocktail napkin drawing on a Monday to full renders going into engineering on a Thursday. We have the luxury of having our own aluminum extrusion plant. And so we're extruding our own frames and able to support all the new designs from a framing standpoint. So the process of going now from a concept to a finished product is accelerated beyond our wildest dreams. I mean, we would have never imagined being able to address needs in the marketplace like we're doing right now. So customs are huge. Okay. So and then turning back to like the studies again, the research, it showed that these business leaders who are absolutely wanting to get their teams back together, they're trying to figure out how do we solve for that, and this flexible design. I think, I mean, this appropriate title for today's webinar. It's all about flexibility. We're looking at people like CBRE, or here in California, turn to the Irvine Company and large GCs around the area that are all looking for ways to retrofit existing spaces. And then we're seeing a migration maybe from this high-rise space into more flex tech buildings where people are looking at large open areas. And now how can we create a pathway for people to come in and out and maybe even like work part-time at home, part-time in the office, hoteling, some of the terms that people use. How can we do that in a way to not make there's a design element to it, right? It's stylish. It helps create an aesthetic, a nice feeling. It's got to be high end and not so temporary. I think we all saw it. There was a mad rush on acrylics, plexiglass. It was like the rush on toilet paper when COVID first came out. It's just now it made it hard to get. It drove the prices up so high. Glass is virtually the same price as plexi now. So I think this flexible design idea is here to stay, and we have partnered with a firm. I'm excited to say another announcement for Claridge is going to come in May. We're gonna launch the most robust line that we've ever launched. It's coming out in May, like I'd mentioned, and it's all about flexible spaces for corporate interiors, hospitality, retail, healthcare, possibly for higher education. And I think that I think you're going to see a lot of big things out of Claridge here this year and moving forward into 2022 as it relates to flexible design. It's going to be a real eye opener. I think people are going to look at it and say, I cannot believe that's Claridge products.
Wow. Well, I know I can say I'm looking forward to seeing what's in store and coming out in May. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So let's go on. So Jennifer, you're last but not least, and then, we'll go on to just some friendly questions. And Jennifer, I think, oh, good. You're unmuted. Perfect. Thank you.
I have neighbors with dogs, so I wanted to make sure that it didn't cut into the webinar.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So
like Claridge, Feeney is a family-owned company, and we've been around for over 70 years. With our complete line of architectural and garden hardware products, we aspire to create innovative and creative spaces where people live, work, and play. And we're known by our tagline, Feeney makes it easy.
I love that tagline. Thank you. Well, thanks for giving everyone just a little bit more about the company. I want to make sure that we all have a little bit of time to understand what each of these companies do and what you provide to the industry. So, Jennifer, I'd love to know what are some of the ways in which architects and designers can achieve a seamless look between interior and exterior spaces?
And I think this also ties into how we've been able to pivot, because we've been around for a long time. Most people know Feeney as the original manufacturer of cable rail, stainless steel railing infill. But since then, we have branched out. We have our line of design rail, aluminum railing systems, awnings, trellises, that kind of thing. And the way that we've been able to do that is by paying close attention to design trends. And that's not something that necessarily a guardrail manufacturer would be expected to do. So one of those trends is that kind of seamless look indoor and out. And this can be achieved by incorporating elements in similar materials that extend from the interior to the exterior space. And that way you get a cohesive look that flows more organically. For example, we have a number of projects where a cable railing was used both indoors and out on decks, porches, and balconies and stairs. More commercial spaces are being designed with this seamless kind of indoor-outdoor transition to create a closer connection with nature.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So can you speak to the importance of using materials that are flexible or adaptable when designing these indoor and outdoor spaces?
Sure. So our railing solutions have been created to optimize design flexibility so that spaces can be individualized and really stand apart when it comes to aesthetics. Different components like infill and top rail and even different mounting options can be chosen so that the system as a whole is flexible, even though the guardrail itself is not. We recently came up with a line of stationary aluminum awnings, which coordinate with our design rail aluminum railing systems. Both the awnings and the railings can be matched to other elements like doors, window frames, lighting, and hardware, again, giving that integrated look.
Yeah. Yeah, and and just a little off script here too, Jennifer, I know that when, I was speaking with you and you were sharing with me just what you're seeing, for your company, that you made a point to say to me that, cable rails or railings in general, they don't seem flexible, but it really is the fact that you have the ability to design them and make it what you would like it to be, and that you wanted it to be more of a an interior design piece rather than something that's part of like exterior architecture, let's say. So
railings are really kind of sometimes thought as an afterthought. Whether you're looking at an indoor or outdoor space, we know that they're necessary, they're safety elements. But in terms of integrating them into the design, I mean, I've seen some fantastic examples where the railing really kind of fits in with the look that the interior designer wants to present, but that's not always the case. So we're trying to be on the forefront of that and provide even more options for designers so that they have more to play with.
Oh, good. Thank you. And then what trends have you seen in architectural and interior design that have caused a pivot in your product specifically?
So a big one is biophilic design. We all know it's a growing trend. We're seeing more desire to connect the natural environment to the built environment, specifically through the use of natural materials. So last year, we introduced resin panel infill for interiors, which features natural materials such as bamboo and grass embedded in resin. The aesthetic is very organic, and it's something that you don't see every day. We also offer laser cut aluminum panels in a number of organic patterns like waves and seagrass. And the great thing about the laser cut panels is that they're powder coated to AMA 2604 spec and can either match the railing frame or be in a contrasting color. Oh. And then we also recently introduced our design rail top rail in wood grain finishes. The finishes closely mimic the organic look of wood while being very durable and significantly reducing maintenance requirements. I have to give kudos to our product development team. They did a great job creating finishes that are really hard to distinguish from the real thing. I mean, we've even had our reps come by and said, I thought you were going to put the wood grain top rail out at a trade show. And we're like, it's right there. So, but it brings that kind of warmth back to the railing without sacrificing durability and ease of maintenance. And of course, in terms of trends, there's the continued use of mixed media materials like wood and metal and natural stone. So as a manufacturer, we look at what materials are used in railings for cable rail and mounting surfaces for design rail to come up with innovative components that increase the ease of installation. And we're continuously looking to develop products that complement other design elements using commercial and residential projects because designers really want cohesive spaces that fit together in a harmonious way.
Yeah, thank you. And I actually have a few other questions for everybody too, but Jennifer, I'll go ahead and start with you. So as a manufacturer, can you share how you've had to be flexible in terms of how you work specifically with designers and architects?
Yeah, so in the past year, there's been a huge increase in focus on digital platforms and tools, right? And we were ready. In 2019, we launched our Visual Builder tool that allows a user to design a deck in an outdoor living space. We have a robust library of video, technical documents, specifications, and other media on our website. And for years, we've had a dedicated private portal online for dealer resources specifically. We joined Mortarr pretty early on as a new way to showcase our products while also connecting with architects and designers in a place where they're looking for inspiration. And that's, we've always had a commitment to customer service and to excellence in terms of the technical expertise of our staff. And that's something that we continue to do so in order to really walk designers through how to specify railing and get them to feel comfortable with the products so that we just want to make things easy for them.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. And that's great to hear that you were kind of ahead of that trend because as we all know, digital marketing has been more prevalent now than really ever before. So I think for all three of you, you know, to even have you join Mortarr when you did, just kind of shows your, you know, dedication to moving with the times and changing with the times. So
well, the building products industry has been historically very, very behind the times. I think that everyone on this panel has felt that. And then, you know, there's been some severe growing pains, and especially in the last year when it was no longer an option, right? It was a necessity. And so I think that it just amazes me how many dealers and manufacturers and designers and architects are all becoming more flexible themselves in the tools that they use and adopt and the processes and the ways in which we're working together.
Yeah, I agree with you. So good, thank you so much. And Kurt, I'm gonna go ahead, I have another question for you. We'll get you unmuted here really quick.
Okay.
Great. So just a question for you really quick. Let's see here what I have. Sorry about that. Okay, so from a marketing perspective, how has the pandemic affected the way that Claridge goes to market with all of the new products that you are actually releasing?
Yeah, so really to pick up on what Jennifer was just talking about, you know, it's digital, and more digital is really the focus. And for a guy that I come from a print background, my family's still in the printing business. I ran a large commercial print shop for a number of years. So I've got ink flowing through my veins. So it's tough to ditch the print and go digital, but I've got a big digital background as well. And it started in pre-COVID, in August or really September of 2019. We brought on a digital agency to assist us. We're really excited about that. They've done a great job of getting us to a point where I feel like we're really at the starting point. I consider this at our infant stages, but we've developed a robust platform. So in August, we launched a new website. And when you're as a manufacturer like Claridge, who has to service, the construction and architectural side on the new building and construction side of our business, as well as dealers, our rep groups, specifiers, we have a broad target audience that's coming to the site that we have to serve. So we're working on really focusing on our user journey, having designer tools on the site. So yes, we have Revit, SketchUp, CT Designer, 2020, you name it, we seem to be subscribing to it. Of course, we're on Mortarr, MRL, you'll find us on Material Bank. But the focus is really on the site. The site needs to be the epicenter. It's the cornerstone of our digital platform, right? I call it our digital marketing ecosystem. And 2020 really forced us to take a hard look on really that user journey, and are we meeting the needs of everybody that we need to? And I really think right now, we're doing an adequate job. Excited about the start. but we're going to pump more money into our digital tools. We have visualization tools. We're finding out that people, because they're working from home remotely, and I don't think this is changing either. They want to see it. They need to be able to visualize it, spin it 360. They need to be able to maybe customize it. We have some customization tools that are on the site, and we're building more of those, akin to like, you know, a high-end car company that you can design your car. We're going to go all in on that. We have AR tools. You can actually bring the product into the space. You can take a picture of it in the space. You've got other digital marketing materials that are interactive now. So in 2020, we didn't spend hardly any money on print. I hate to say it, we didn't do it. And we're probably not going to go back into print mode in 2021 either. We're going to do some limited print. We're getting demands from, you know, of course, some of the rep groups are needing some leave behinds and whatnot. But most of what we're doing is we're developing interactive digital tools that'll drive people back to the site, where then we can shepherd them through the site. We can, they can take a deeper dive into the specs and better understanding what these products can do and how they can live in their space. So that's going to be our challenge, is really how to connect, inspire people, and get them inspired to the point where they want to come to the site and now take that deeper dive and engage with those tools. So I feel like we're on a good path there. And again, with the launch of our new product line in May, we're going to be revamping the site, and I think people will be excited to see what that looks like and what the experience is going to be on the site. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I have to say, just you know, speaking with the three of you, I know this webinar is trends in flexible design, but it's really like your digital marketing efforts are also becoming flexible too. So it's not just flexibility about the physical space, but it's flexibility in which you work with your clients or potential clients as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Yep.
That's a great theme. So great, Rob, I got another question for you too. We have you unmuted, perfect. So what does the science tell us about the safety benefits of flexible dining space during a pandemic? And how will the increased awareness of these impact hospitality design moving forward?
Sure, if you were to go to the CDC and WHO, World Health Organization websites and look at the guidance that they've been putting out on hospitality spaces, you'll see a couple of key themes. And one is fresh air and ventilation, and the other is the separation and division of space. The issue, of course, on both of those is that that's going to ebb and flow based on the usage of the space throughout even any particular usage time, because different configurations and numbers of customers will come in and out. And then you have the weather. So, you know, there's in certain environments, you just can't have your hospitality space open to the weather all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You need the ability to open and close it based on what the weather is like at that time. And even in an interior space, the ability to reconfigure dividers as seating needs change to keep groups of patrons isolated within their own group, but to allow them to have some kind of experience, because ultimately the hospitality industry is an experience industry. And so that experience, they don't want to degrade the aesthetic aspect of their experience, but they have to provide a safe experience now. So all those things are kind of coming together. And the science says that fresh air and ventilation is critical, and that the division of space and separation of space is critical. So how do we equip, the question I've been asking is, how do we equip with our flexible design products, design professionals and construction professionals with tools to accomplish all of that without sort of degrading the aesthetic dynamic? Because people don't want to come in and feel like, you know, they're, you know, in a hospitality space, that they're in a scenario where they're just cattle being moved around between different parts of the cow pen, right? They want to be able to come in and feel welcomed by the space itself, but also safe and separated from other groups of patrons. And so that's a unique set of design challenges that I think is here to stay. And it's really based on that science and what the health organizations are telling us we need to have present. And for whatever it's worth, I think it's probably just a more healthy society in general that we're looking at moving forward, that the design elements that COVID has forced us to integrate will help to make happen.
Yeah. And, you know, I couldn't help but notice too, that the image you've chosen as your background fits so perfectly. I mean, not even for just this webinar, but just when it comes to the product that you provide. and some of the projects that you've worked on. So, I mean, I completely agree with you that, you know, it's going to be like health first. You know, it's like the days of us jam-packed in a certain space together. I can't even fathom what that will be like, you know, when, you know, things change or go back a little bit to normal. You know, it's hard to even fathom, you know, being in a space with so many people. And I agree with you that, you know, we're going to have to find a way to be comfortable all together while, you know, whether it be dining out or, you know, being at a hotel, something like that.
Yeah, no, and it's so true. And this particular space that I've used as my virtual image, this is my first time using a virtual image. So I keep looking at myself and thinking, okay, that's different. That's actually a senior living facility that is a healthcare facility. And so this dining space really, the director of the facility told me how much the ability to open that dining space up meant to them throughout the pandemic, because their patrons were afraid to eat outside of their rooms. And so to have the ability to just spread out onto that patio and have all that space be open, and there's a nice little cozy fireplace just inside, and it just created a much more friendly and safe feeling environment for the residents who live there. And that was very meaningful for me to hear that we were able to provide that solution for those residents and for the people who run that facility. And that's the reason I chose the image.
Yeah. Well, and I have to say too, I have a grandmother who is in a senior care facility, and you know, now that it's cold in the Midwest, it's harder to visit her because you're still not allowed to be within that confined space. So having open outdoor spaces, I can only see how important that would be to just, you know, I mean, specifically the senior living community, but also, you know, any place else where you still kind of crave that personal connection, that one-on-one time, but you're not really able to be in a close vicinity, you know, as you typically used to be. So, yeah. So I do have a question that I think would be relevant, you know, for everybody here. So one example of or could you share one example of a situation where your company has been able to assist in creating a unique, flexible space solution? And we can thank the audience for this question here. So let's go ahead and actually open this up as well. Anyone else out there, if you have some questions, please feel free to submit them. But I thought this would be a good one for all of you. Oh, and I think everyone is muted. So let me get you unmuted there. There we go.
Yeah, so I'd be glad to go first. You know, we entered a product into the marketplace that is very, very unique and really began on the residential side for us, because we are residential and commercial. That's a 90-degree awning window. So if you can sort of follow the motion of my hand, it opens up 90 degrees, almost like a hatchback on the back of an SUV or a vehicle, right? And so everyone wanted to open up their poolside bar or their kitchen to the outside area in their home. And this is a product that has roots back in Australia and Europe, but there really wasn't a reliable product being manufactured in North America. And so we actually had a homeowner call and say, could you make one of these? And now we have a commercial spec on this product, and we've been involved in very high profile commercial full submittal processes and getting this product in commercial spaces. But one that I wanted to mention in particular that was very unique to me, that actually tied into the use of the space during COVID. There's a restaurant in Washington, D.C. that pre-COVID installed 2 of our windows over the bar. And there's images on their Instagram from pre-COVID when there's patrons just lined up, just stacked up at the bar, and there's outdoor seating going on too, but the inside of the restaurant is full and the bartenders and the servers are doing their thing. And it was unique because it was one of the first commercial spaces to integrate that kind of a product in a high profile space. So what's exciting about this is I had a chance actually to travel there and to get some images. And what the restaurateur told me was that the gas front windows, the 90-degree awning windows, actually saved his business during COVID, because the way that their foyer is set up, it would have been impossible for servers to come in and out to serve the outdoor seating areas. So instead, they just opened up their 90-degree awning windows and served right out of the bar, right into the tents and right into the outdoor seating areas, so that they didn't have that additional several minutes of walk and additional fail points of potentially dropping food and a very narrow sort of passageway. And he just expressed that unique flexible space solution that really wasn't designed to do what he used it for during the COVID pandemic really came through for him in the clutch, and we were glad to be able to provide it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So Jennifer and Kurt, what do you guys think about how you've been able to work, within that flexible design space, specifically for your clients and your company?
I think because of course we're in guardrails and guardrails don't move as, safety features, but we have seen how space usage has changed. We were just recently involved in the Sobu Hotel project, which they built up a rooftop deck. So being able to utilize space that you haven't been able to, like you said, Rob, before, it kind of opens it up and makes it more safer, allows for more space between people, more ventilation. We've had several commercial projects that have come down the pike that are of that nature, kind of using these outdoor spaces in a new way that they might not have thought of in the original design of the project, but knowing we had to make these accommodations, it was the natural outflow from that. And then of course, we're seeing more usage in some of the custom panel options that we've seen in terms of really personalizing spaces and making them their own. And then the other thing that I've seen is that, as a lot of schools have been closed, that there has been more renovation in education. They've really taken this as an opportunity, like, okay, well, let's do the projects that we can't do when kids are in school to really get these done. And so we're involved in a couple of those as well.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you. And Kurt?
Yeah, for us, it's interesting. The COVID solutions that we developed, it's interesting to see how people are using them. A lot of times we don't get the feedback, or even understand how they're going to use it. And then every once in a while, I'll get a snapshot from someone to say, hey, check this out. Look how these guys are using this, mobile or this divider. And I can think across the board of, it's interesting to see how, we make these glass mobile dividers they're clear, because now, people don't want it to look like, I think Rob had mentioned, it's like, you don't want it to look like this labyrinth of a maze, right? You come in, it's just, makes people feel confined. And so we're seeing people use like our clear glass mobiles as dividers in between, almost like doorways into cubicles or offices, where they set them up, they're barriers, they can move, they can see through, you can actually write on them. We've seen the mobiles used in courtrooms, like I'd mentioned. So we have mobile and stationary dividers, and some of the dividers are made to be both mobile and stationary, so that the feet on them are actually, they have glides, and they can be retrofitted and converted with casters into a mobile barrier. And I'll get images back of things that you never even thought, like the application. I never really thought about courtrooms. And the next thing you know, you see the juror panel, it's kind of got these glass walls in front of them. You've got teachers hiding behind them. So it's, and then with the ability to do the customs, we're having organizations, we're talking about some large standards programs that are coming in, where now they're getting creative, where they're trying to create some private space, but then have a view through. So we're having mixed materials come in, where we're using like PET materials in different colors and arrangements and in the dividers, and then with a little view through for a window. So you put a piece of glass or plexi in there. And so that's where the customization part is coming. And then also, I think with people are using marker boards as dividers, like even we see rolling, like for windows. We have people that put our boards that come down and create privacy screens. So the applications sometimes that we're seeing on the end users don't necessarily meet, like the finished application doesn't necessarily meet what our intended design was, but that's the kind of interesting thing to see how scrappy people are getting and how creative they have to get with making people feel comfortable. And it doesn't matter if it's in the classroom or like, in office space or outdoors. And in looking at Rob's, I was going to say to Rob, I was looking at his background. I knew that was a filtered screen. It looks really cool. That looks like, I got to tell you, there's so much of that going on in California. You guys have got to be crushing it out here. If you're not out here, you need to get out here. The Irvine company, who I mentioned before, huge developer out here, is developing all these indoor outdoor spaces. And I see your products or products like that all the time. And then last thing I wanted to mention, I want to know, did you buy yourself that coffee mug, or did someone actually give that thing to you?
I'm glad you mentioned the coffee mug. It's an Office reference. And honestly, my two team members, internal sales members, got this for me for Christmas, and I'm rather proud of it because it's kind of a compliment, but it's also funny because of the reference. And so I've been enjoying my coffee out of it on the call today.
You must be an amazing boss.
Or at least,
I love that.
at least interesting. So cheers.
I love that you included that for today's webinar. That's so funny. I noticed it earlier too. So for all of you, we had another question come in from the audience. So can everyone talk a little bit about how you managed, let's see here, about how you managed when looking to pivot on products focus, or how you marketed your products, or how you managed to pivot while, pivot while marketing your products?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to kind of have a culture that allows for that within your company, because the difficulty oftentimes in building materials is there's a way we've always done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a little bit fortunate. I'm a part of a company that was really just beginning to enter the marketplace earnestly when I came on board. But that's pretty unique in building materials. We've kind of been in an elongated startup mode for a long time. So for me to come in and say, hey, if we want to have measurable growth and if we want to do this, then we need to put this kind of culture in place and be ready to spend on things that are flexible and controllable rather than things that are, going to always cost X and the ROI may not be measurable. So for us, it was always about being in a sort of cultural framework as a company of being flexible anyway. And that has allowed us to, engage with new market dynamics. Others have had more of an uphill battle, I know, in building materials to get sort of the leadership to see, okay, we have to get more flexible. And quite frankly, COVID has forced people to be willing to revisit their business models in ways that really nothing else any of us can remember has ever done.
Yeah,
I tell people that, my start in digital marketing was focusing on social and the web, and I would give talks to our outside sales reps and coach them through posting a photo to Facebook. And so it's I felt like this incredible pain point in terms of digital adoption in this industry. And I tell people that, if the pandemic dragged this industry kicking and screaming into the 21st century, and I'm kind of here for it. I mean, I didn't want it to happen this way, obviously, but I'm kind of here for it, and I think that for us as a company, because we've been around over 70 years, there's a trap in falling into that thing. Like, we could have sat around and just relied on cable rail, for example. I mean, regardless of whether the fact that there's always more competitors that are coming up, snapping at our heels, but we are very fortunate that even though most of our employees have been employed here between 5 and 25 years. So there's a lot of longevity and history and deep technical knowledge about the products. Everyone kind of has a startup mindset, and our ownership is very agile, and they understand the importance of flexibility and looking at continuously updating our product mix and how we're going to grow and change, because it's the only way that we're going to survive as a company.
Yeah, I would say for us that, we talked a lot about digital today in marketing. Obviously, that's what I do. And I think that the blessing of COVID is it connected us more to our manufacturing processes. So for example, when you put something out in the marketplace, you make a promise to somebody, you got to keep it, right? And that saying about good brands are a promise made and successful brands are a promise kept, and that's what we're focused on. And so with COVID, we developed a line of COVID products, clear mobiles and clear dividers, put them in stock, available in 48 hours to ship, and you make that kind of promise, you got to keep that. And that really forces us to take a look at really the way we're going to start manufacturing in the future is really having more stock product, a better preparation for those quick orders and short turns, and reduce the lead times, because you have to be nimble. So just like we're being nimble in digital and with our marketing efforts, manufacturing has to learn how to be nimble as well. So we're all evolving and learning, and I think that there's a lot of benefits to this COVID situation. So I feel like it was kind of a blessing.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm happy to hear everybody say that. And I like that we've kind of shifted a little bit into that digital marketing hemisphere because, I mean, that's really brought everything. I mean, it pushed everybody into this new century of the digital age. So Jennifer, I think Mortarr can say that we're also here for it. So we've been saying it for a while, but I think I definitely agree with you on that. So, well, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. I really appreciate you being here. I said to you before, you are Mortarr's guinea pigs, because this is our first subscriber panel. So I really appreciate you being here with me today. And to our audience, thank you again for joining. A recording of this will be shared with you. And as promised, let me go ahead and pull up. Here you go. So here's just some contact information for these wonderful companies that have joined us today. Please take a screenshot if you can, so you can reach out to them. But of course, if you have any questions, please contact me or a member of the Mortarr team, and we can forward that on to the appropriate person. So, well, thank you so much again, everybody. I really appreciate your time, and we'll be in touch soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yep.